All right, hello there, and welcome to another Starfield recap. This one is the week of the 21st. So, like the last, well, kind of like the last week of, well, no, not really the last week of July. Yeah, we got a few things to talk about. Let's just jump straight in. So, first and foremost, we obviously Gamescom is coming up. It is going to be the 20th and the 24th, so we're about a month out from Gamescom given this, so that's, yeah. And for anyone wondering, oh, Crimson, why Gamescom specifically? Why are you talking about Gamescom? So Bethesda have confirmed they're going to be at Gamescom. Now, that was Bethesda themselves, not necessarily Starfield, but it's safe to assume that we're going to be getting some content information regarding Starfield, considering that Bethesda have been working and kind of, getting the job done, as they say. It's obvious that we're gonna get some sort of news. Now, what that news is, I don't know. It could be, I think it's definitely going to be expansion. Like, I feel like we're definitely going to get news on the expansion. The Starbound expansion. Now, I would hope we get a little bit more than that, and by a little bit, I hope we get a lot more than that. They've been working for the entire year, basically. Ever since Shattered Space dropped, we got no big or no content update at all. We got a bug fix in December, and then we got a bug fix and a kind of a patch that kind of fixed some of the performance in June, I think, or May. So there's been no content. So they've been working an entire year. So I'm expecting to see a year's worth of content, not just put into an expansion, but also put into, other stuff. Like, I'm hoping for a free update that will add some awesome features to the game. Crimson, are you being a bit overly optimistic? Probably. But yeah, I would like to believe it's gonna be good. It could be, like, what are the facts, right? So the facts are, we know that we're getting content, right? We know they're working on stuff. We know that there is definitely going to be expansion. And the rumor is, while being a rumor, it's like very plausible, probably like an 80% chance that it is going to be related to Starborn. Okay. Now, we also know that Starfield, well, we don't know, again, rumor, but highly probable that Starfield will be coming to PlayStation. We've seen a few games from the Xbox catalog drop on PlayStation. We've actually seen a PlayStation game drop on Xbox, which I don't know if it's the first. It probably isn't, to my knowledge, but it's a big one. Helldivers, really fun game. I would definitely recommend you guys check it out. Very, very fun. So speculation is that we're gonna get a PlayStation announcement, which that in itself will be quite good for the game, because it'll pump up numbers. Now, here's where we'll talk about what I would like to see, okay? So, obviously, expansion is going to be cool. It's going to, more than likely, it's going to be paid. I mean, realistically, even though, yes, Bethesda have opted to give us no content at all, either in the line of free updates or paid updates, there is a part of me that is like, Bethesda really needs to do some sort of a free update as a kind of just an apology to the fans for keeping them in the dark. Now, while yes, it would be really cool having expansion free, that's not going to help the game. I've said many times in streams, I have no problem paying for content and supporting games. And I think that Bethesda could benefit from that sort of style if they went back to doing it. Like, a lot of game developers have moved away from the whole kind of paid DLC sort of thing, which is weird because Bethesda necessarily haven't. And usually, generally speaking, Story-based games are one of the few single-player games are one of the few game types that still do the kind of the paid DLC. DLC being downloadable content. So think like story, new stories, new characters, new factions. Like we look at Fallout, for instance. Fallout 4, we got Automatron, we got the Workshop DLCs, we got the Vault DLC, we got Nuka World, and we got Far Harbor. Both Far Harbor and Nuka World were expansions. Expansions, main difference between expansion and a DLC. Generally speaking, a DLC, usually it's probably on a... It's usually around the price range of $20 to $25. Could be a little cheaper, could be $10. With the DLC, usually it's kind of a small to medium sized content, like Automatron, or like Dawn Guard, or like Knights of the Nine, or like Operation Anchorage, stuff like that. It's not meant to. It's probably. I would say it would give you like maybe 5 to 10 hours of content. Again, this varies. I'm just going off kind of Fallout. Whereas an expansion is usually a little bit more expensive, usually between $20 and $40. And an expansion is basically like an add-on to the game. It adds kind of a mini game itself. So expansions usually will have a third to a half of the same amount of content. Usually, not always. We think of expansions, we think of Far Harbor, we think of Nuka World, we think of Shivering Isles. Generally speaking, Dragonborn expansions will bring us to a new area, generally. So we know that there's an expansion coming, right? I've said that a few times. But with the release of Starfield, Bethesda have kind of operated. See, Bethesda originally said that they wanted Starfield to be a kind of a, like a, they didn't directly say a live service game per se. But with the initial kind of free updates that came out, and then the fact that they were relying kind of heavily on the paid mod store to act as a kind of a live service store, generally speaking, live service games are the sort of games that get free updates. Think Call of Duty, think Halo, to an extent think Destiny, but don't think Destiny because it's kind of a shit show in terms of live service. And the way you would usually pay for them would be you could opt to buy a battle pass that just gives you cosmetics, or you would have a cosmetic store. You don't need the battle pass, or you don't need any of the stuff to play the content, but basically, yeah. Now, I think that Bethesda was trying to go this method, and I'm going to be honest with you, right? Live service games get a lot of bad rep in the kind of the gaming world, because you look at an example, you look at Call of Duty is a good example of a live service game, right? Generally speaking, right, in a perfect world, a live service game is usually a game that comes out free or quite cheap, and it is kind of funded by some sort of in-game store. Destiny is an example. Destiny is funded. I mean, even though Destiny is a weird one, because while it is a live service game, it also has like paid content that you can miss out on. So like, it's not like because a normal, like a live service game is free updates that you can access whenever you want. COD is probably the best example, with like, you can basically play like the new maps and the new modes. And obviously, if you want to buy the battle pass and stuff, Fortnite's actually Fortnite would probably be one of the original examples. Now, I like the idea of a live service game because, to an extent, early Destiny 2, and obviously you look at something like Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite, but I will say that Fortnite fans have been eating good, as the kids say these days. Like, they've had constant updates, really cool live events, from singers to Star Wars to like superheroes. Very, very cool. I wish I was a Fortnite fan, but I can't build. I'm not good at the build, which is weird because I like building, but it just, yeah, I'm just not good at that sort of thing. But so it seemed like Starfield, they wanted to kind of do a kind of a similar idea, right? Now, calling it like a true live service game probably isn't a fair assessment. They did mention how they wanted it to be like a kind of a 10-year sort of plan, which that I thought, in like, we go back, like, and we look at any other Bethesda title, imagine Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 or Skyrim or Oblivion, imagine them constantly doing updates over the course of 10 years. Like, that would be honestly fucking insane. Like, can you imagine, like, Dragonborn wasn't the last expansion for Skyrim? Like, we would still, if Bethesda had have operated on that principle back in, you know, the era of Skyrim, we would have still been getting content for Skyrim up until recently. We would still be getting content for Fallout. Now, looking at Starfield and looking at what has transpired, I don't know if we could say it would be as good as what we had thought. You know what they say, no things ever, expectations, some about expectations. I don't know why I went that route. But yeah, it's Starfield, they started off with a system of, I think, wanting to do that whole live servicey sort of thing where they're like, okay, here's some free updates, here's the rover, here's the Tracker Alliance, here's all this other kind of, you know, stuff. Here's some free quests and some paid quests, but a lot of it was monetized through the paid mods because Bethesda take a chunk of the profits from the paid mods. I don't know the percentage. I initially assumed it was like kind of a 30-70 split, 30 in Bethesda's favor. Apparently it is not. It is more weighted towards Bethesda, so maybe 50-50, which, like, you have to think realistically, if you're taking 50% revenue from every paid mod, you're getting a decent chunk of money for ultimately doing nothing aside from all they do is host it. They have very, very limited QA ability. They don't really like check things. Like, I will say they have like rules on, let's say, no AI dialogue, no AI voice acting. I have my videos had to kind of tell them that there's AI voice acting in certain mods, which is kind of interesting. Imagine being a billion-dollar company and having to watch some random Irish guy on YouTube being like, why do these guys sound robotic? But yeah, look, we're not here to, I'm not going to bash. We all know my opinion on the paid mod system. I think it's a good system when done right. Currently, it's not being done right. There's a lot of slop. There's some awesome mods out there, like awesome paid mods. But you know what they say, all it takes is one bad apple to spoil the bunch. But anyway, so Bethesda, we're going with that method of kind of, you know, content, and it was looking good. It was looking very, very, very vibey, very hypey. And then Shattered Space comes out, and it didn't do as good as I think Bethesda intended. But regardless, it was still, I still enjoyed it. I was like, this is cool. Looking back, it kind of played very much like Nuka World from Fallout 4, which, if you're the sort of person who's a bit of a goody two-shoes, you're not going to enjoy it. And I will say I enjoyed it because the first time I played, I was in the roleplay of being House Faroon and all this sort of stuff. They did some awesome things, like they made it so that, like, all of the, you know, you don't have to jump in a ship. You just kind of explore like an old school Bethesda game, kind of coming across locations, quest lines, sort of stuff like that. There was some glaring issues, no ship parts. What the fuck, Bethesda, where's ship parts? But yeah, after that, it was radio silent. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right? It was around, I think it was around the start of May when somebody posted or asked Bethesda a question on Twitter about what's going on with the game, and they said that they've got stuff in the works, they've been hard at work, and they will let us know soon. Now, I know this big soon TM. What does soon mean, right? Fucking, I assumed soon meant in the next month or so, because I did a watch stream of the Xbox showcase, and Starfield wasn't there. It wasn't there. If you want to watch a man slowly lose hope in real time, watch that stream. But yeah, so it was complete radio silence, and like fans started to speculate, and that's the worst thing. Whenever there's silence, whenever you're left to kind of think, that's what my psychologist always said. Don't think, just do. Actually, no. Sometimes you should think. Maybe don't always do. Okay, don't rely on me for psychological, emotional support. In that regard. Anyway, long story short, yeah, some people start to speculate: is the game dead? Obviously, that's going to happen because it's clickbait and it will get views. Because that's how YouTube works. People are more interested in the negative than the positive, which is really sad. Now, there was people who kind of went on the hopium a little bit too much and be like, oh, they're working really hard. We're going to get this. We're going to get that. We're going to get all this new stuff. It's because the reason they didn't do was because of this, because of that. And that's just as equally dangerous or as equally, as equally damaging to the brand as the people who basically just write the game off. Because, yeah, it's not... You want to keep your hope in check, and I know a lot of people in the Discord, like Michael and Nogroth, have been telling me from the get-go, just don't get your hopes up, which is fair. I probably shouldn't have. I'm still I'm still hoping for some ship parts. This is if... Oh my dear lord. The recap I do that follows the Gamescom, if Starfield isn't there, it's gonna just be me rambling. But anyway, so there's been nothing for the last year, right? Nothing at all. Nothing major, no content. So they're hard at work, right? Now, realistically, they probably got something cooking. It would be like Bethesda. At the end of the day, Bethesda's still Bethesda, right? And we got news recently that like Fallout 4 was greenlit, or Fallout 5 has been greenlit, which that means nothing. We won't see a Fallout game for probably another 5-6 years. We know that they're working on Elder Scrolls 6, right? So a portion of the Bethesda staff are working on Fallout or Elder Scrolls 6. That's obvious, right? But in a proper business environment, you would like to think that most of your team is going to be working on developing your current IP, i.e. Starfield, right? Because that's the one that's out currently. So in a perfect world, let's say, and again, this is just me speculating, let's say 60% of the staff at Bethesda are working on Starfield still, right? Now, realistically, is that realistic? I would like to say yes, because I want to see the game prosper. That being said, so we say 60% are working on the game, another 30% are working on Elder Scrolls 6, and then the final 10% are working on Fallout 5, right? That's what I would like to see, because I feel like as a company, it is your obligation when you bring out a game, especially when you, like, look, here's the thing, right? If Bethesda had have said absolutely nothing about Starfield and been like, oh, just, we're going to release an expansion and then that's it, right? I could understand it. But they didn't say that. They said that first of all, they said that they've got another expansion planned after they know about, or they have this is before Shattered Space. They knew they had another expansion planned, which ends up being, I think, Starborn. And then they said that they have ideas for the third one. So they've confirmed that they have they have already 3 years worth of content planned alone in expansions. Also, the fact that they said it was a 10-year thing makes you think that, yes, they would be still focusing on the game. And, like, we as fans, that's what we wanted. Now, like I said, if they had have just went the route of their other games, where realistically Bethesda will support a game for about a year and a half after launch, 2 years max, usually, then it's done. We would be at that point now, and, like, realistically, if that was the case, they said nothing, I'd be still annoyed, but I'd be like, look, we got it. It is what it is. But the fact that they haven't done that, the fact that they've mentioned about expansions, the fact that they've said about they've said about stuff, and the fact that despite what people say, Starfield has the potential to be an amazing game, right? The shipbuilder functionality or the shipbuilder mechanics alone is absolutely phenomenal. It's never been done before, to my knowledge, to the scale of Starfield, where it's quite easy to do. There's other games that I'm aware of that do it. Like, an example would be Space Engineers does it, but Space Engineers does it in a sense of... It does it in a kind of a sense of like a Minecraft, where you have to build it block by block. Now, I kind of enjoy that sort of setup, but with that, it's hard to make ships look realistic and stuff, and it's very tedious because you're hand building every piece. Whereas Starfield has this prefab system where like you've got your individual different halves, you've got your structural pieces, you've got all these, and it does a phenomenal job, you know? Like, I've said this like dozens of times, right? Everyone and their mother is like talks about these big sci-fi games, right? Everybody knows about Star Citizen, right? A lot of people want to play it because it looks cool. Visually, it's an impressive game. Economically, it may be a pyramid scheme. The jury is still out on that, but people want to play this sort of game, right? And they look a lot of the time, and this is why, like, I feel like as a business, like, you're always like, you got to look for your niche, right? And here's the thing: people want to play Star Citizen, but for one reason or another, let's say biggest reason, it's not on console, right? So you're like, okay, what is on console? And Elite Dangerous was on console, and Elite Dangerous is interesting. There was a time where I would have argued that it was kind of a big competitor to Star Citizen. Not the case anymore. They have kind of closed up shop. So that means that console, which again, console players make up the majority of the gaming space, you know, be that PlayStation, be that Nintendo, be that Xbox, you know? Like PC players, yeah, like PC players are PC players, but there's always more consoles. That's why I always say put your mods on console as well. Starfield is literally in a position where they can take all of the kind of the people who want to play Star Citizen but either don't have a PC or don't want to, you know, buy into a fucking pyramid scheme scam. And with the shipbuilder alone, they like have such a unique idea. Now there's other elements to the game because yeah, it's still a Bethesda title. It has role-playing elements. There's certain features that obviously it's lacking in certain regards. Like one of the things is it may not have as much role-play potential as other titles. The melee combat system is absolutely fucking egregiously shit. What happened from the team that makes Skyrim? And look, I'm not going to say Skyrim is phenomenal, but Skyrim had like cool little kind of, you know, different attacks, different heavy attacks, all this stuff. Like melee weapons are meh in this game. They're absolutely dog shit. And you could say, well, maybe when we get animations, modders, and again, modders, yeah, but we shouldn't be relying on modders to bring us features that should be in the base game to begin with. But anyway, like that rant aside, I still hold out hope. I still think that if Bethesda are willing to, they could turn Starfield into something much more, and they could start that by starting a good year of content for Starfield. So start off with a big drop on a free update, teaser trailer for the expansion, a roadmap of what's coming next year, and obviously the launch on PlayStation. It's a lot of moving pieces, right? But if Bethesda genuinely want to turn Starfield into something much bigger, and they make the right steps, they can easily fucking do it, you know? Like, there's not a lot of people playing Starfield these days, right? I feel like a lot of people, because it's a single-player sort of game, the people left playing are generally the people who enjoy the paid mod sort of system, which the modding, that's always been a part. It's a small part in Starfield compared to other games. I know that the shipbuilding community and the outpost building community are still kind of here. And then there's the weird people that like to do bounty missions. You know you are. The bounty board mission. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so it's in its current state, she not doing too well. Realistically, as much as I think a lot of the paid mods are dog shit, not a lot of them, some of them, I think the paid mods are just keeping the lights on while Bethesda are, you know, kind of radio silent. But it could be so much more. Like I guarantee you, like I think there was a jump of was it? I think Steam had like a jump of like I want to say when Watchtower came out, it was like was it 35,000 players or something like that? So, or maybe it was 135,000 players. Well, either way, when Watchtower came out, a lot of people came back to the game, and that was the close we've gotten to a Bethesda sort of DLC. Made by King Gath, a really awesome mod, King Gath and their team. But yeah, like, if Bethesda can hit the ground running, bring out new update out now, coming to PlayStation, expansion coming soon, roadmap coming soon, like, and when I say fucking soon, I mean give us a date and time, because a lot of people have been speculating that, like, oh, Bethesda have, like, they've always been the sort of people where they just like shadow dropping content. They did it with Oblivion, and I will say, yes, they did it with Oblivion, and, like, yes, they did it with Fallout. I remember Fallout 4 got a trailer. It got a trailer in June, and then I think it came out like a month or two later, I think. That can work for some games that are established. Starfield's not established, right? This is Starfield's first game, right? I would like to think in, who knows, down the road we get a Starfield 2, But they need to work to establish it and to make it in line with their other titles, Like, I think Starfield has potential to, in my opinion, overshadow Fallout. And I don't know if it would overshadow Elder Scrolls. And I'm not saying that, like, as if Fallout's some weak game. I love Fallout. The TV show was amazing, and the TV show brought a whole lot of new fans. But generally speaking, when it comes to kind of fans, like, sci-fi and fantasy is probably two of the biggest kind of things. Like, you look at Star Wars, right? Star Wars is fucking huge. You look at fantasy, you think Lord of the Rings stuff. They're probably two of the biggest franchises out there in terms of, like, those settings. Like, don't get me wrong, I love some post-apocalyptic stuff. I love Mad Max. I love some of the Resident Evil movies that are focused more on post-apocalyptic stuff. I love that. Like, that's my kind of, my jam. But sci-fi has always been a big thing for me, and I think that's probably because I grew up on Star Wars, and Halo was my first true, like, game. So, like, I think they have such a high potential, considering that the other thing too is, now that we're at Microsoft, and look, obviously Bethesda don't need help from anyone because they're Bethesda, but, like, you've got, like, so many resources now at Xbox, right? You've got Halo, you've got 343 or Halo Studios. Bethesda could easily hit up Halo Studios and get some help. Like, Halo Studios are, like, they're probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, producers of expanded universe content in the form of movies, in the form of shorts, like videos, in the form of books, Like, Bethesda have done 2 books, to my knowledge, regarding any of their franchises. That was books on Elder Scrolls, and I'm going to be honest, they were pretty good. I enjoyed them. Like, they were not groundbreaking, but I enjoyed them. We got a little animated teaser for Shattered Space. I thought that was awesome. Honestly, I would like to see more. One of the things I think Bungie did really well early on was these sort of kind of, like, these kind of animated cinematics that kind of told some stories. Like, there's the one where Saint 14 talks about how, like, like, he was basically the devil of the fallen and stuff, but how he was himself a monster. You've got, like, the ones about Vault of Glass. You got so many. And, like, Bethesda could do that. They could bring out some, like, imagine we get to see, like, a short a short 10-minute animated, like, video on the Colony War from the perspective of various different pilots, a mech pilot on the ground, a xeno-warfare scientist, a civilian, Like, we could have a cinematic about Starborn. I'd love to see, like, a lore accurate kind of Starborn. That's one of the things I will say, like, as a big, like, fan of Halo, I love seeing Spartans in cutscenes. Halo Wars 1 and 2 does a phenomenal job of showcasing just how lethal Spartans are. Starborn are another one. Like, Starborn are very interesting. They're essentially a mix between a Jedi and a space wizard in terms of, just without the lightsaber. And obviously in game, they are pretty badass, but, like, when you look at something in game, you're looking at it from a balancing point of view, Like, I could imagine, like, seeing, like, a lore accurate trailer of, like, Starborn literally just, like, teleporting around, just, like, throwing solar flares, just annihilating everything. But just, it'd be so cool. And it's like, why not do that? Like, I'm not saying I don't think it's probably quite an expensive process, but Bethesda, Why don't you hit up Blur? For anyone wondering, Blur are the cinematic studio that made the cutscenes for Halo Wars 1, I believe. They definitely did Halo Wars 2, and they did Halo CE and Halo 2 Anniversary. And honestly, they are some of, if not the best fucking cutscenes I have ever seen. They're absolutely phenomenal. Blur as a team, oh my fucking god, they're amazing. And yeah, like, it's just like, imagine like Bethesda partnering up with Blur to make some like cinematics. If you're not familiar with Blur, I would definitely recommend checking out like some of my favorite cutscenes is the Halo, look up Halo 2 Anniversary Day at the Beach deleted scene. It's basically the perspective of the ODST team that deploy alongside Master Chief, but not alongside him, but like a different side of the area with Master Chief. Absolutely phenomenal. They remastered, because there's the original that came out around the time of Halo 2, and then they remastered it, and it just looks absolutely phenomenal. You've got all of Halo 2's cinematics, which I believe they are Blur, aren't they? But yeah, like, this is just ways they can do it, you know? You guys looking at the Aurora like, maybe I might need that if we don't get chip parts. Now, that's pretty much it in terms of like the kind of the stuff with Starfield. Let me know what you think. Are you, obviously we've took a few kicks to the head over the last year with regards to lack of content. But what are you thinking? Do you still have hope? Do you not have hope? Would you just rather Bethesda take Starfield out to the back of the yard and just pew? I wouldn't, until we get our ship parts. Yeah, so I want to talk about some other stuff now. We're going to talk about some kind of slightly drama, not really drama. Obviously, I try to promote with this channel. I try to promote a very welcoming environment as much as I can, because yeah, like, I like gaming, and gaming for a lot of people is an escape. I think for most people, it's an escape. So I try to foster a community where everyone is welcome, and we have a bit of fun, we banter, you know, stuff like that. And I don't like drama, but drama will pop up, you know. I think we've all probably, you know, we know what life's like. You can't live a life pure happiness. Eventually you need something to balance out. But and I'm not going to go too much into the details of it, because I'm not going to call out anyone or kind of, you know, shit stir, but I just want to make some things known. So I get a few comments a lot on my channel. People will be like, "Oh, Crimson, do you delete comments?" And you'll get it frequently from people. Some people will, like, they'll go to post and their post won't, or the comment won't appear, and they'll think I'm removing it. And to be completely transparent with you, I will very rarely delete comments. Very rarely. Generally speaking, I will never delete a comment that is a negative critique of myself, how I do stuff, or a mod. And sometimes I want to, but I think it's fair if people have a right to their opinion, even if their opinion's fucking stupid. The only thing I will ever delete is if somebody is coming in trolling. People saying I thought this was a dead game. And if it's just that, like, if somebody comes in and says, like, "Oh, Starfield really, like, you know, it could have been better, but Bethesda handled it really stupidly. Like, it really is sad how dead it is." That's not a troll. That's negative, but there's truth to it. You know, like, I will never delete anything like that as long as you can have a conversation. Now, I will say I have hidden people. I have hidden commenters from my channel, which hiding them is essentially banning them, because they don't because I find that they don't line up with my kind of my outlook on stuff. Because again, I like to foster an environment where everyone is chill. Like, look, here's the thing, right? Here's an example, right? I will be critical of Starfield and I will be critical of Bethesda, but I will never get to the point of directly harassing or targeting anyone. Same with mod stuff. Like, I will be critical of mod authors, right? And it's part of the reason why I had to move away for talking about certain mod authors, because you can only critique something for so long before you kind of run the risk of it becoming ad hominem, and ad hominem basically means targeting the person themselves. And I did find I was doing that with certain mod authors, so I try to limit that because ultimately, when I like with my mod sort of stuff, I try to highlight because one, I like Starfield and I feel like the paid mod system is quite cool, but there's problems with it. And I like to highlight with you guys. I like to show off mods that I think are worth it, and also highlight mods where I'm like, I don't know if this is worth it, guys. Sometimes I will be like, this is not worth it, guys. But yeah, so generally speaking, I will and have hidden I've hidden large channels, I've hidden small channels, I've hidden just individuals because again they don't line up with my brand. And say, here's the thing, right? Regardless of any of that, right? This is I'm not trying to kind of ego trip. This is my YouTube channel, and if you don't like what I'm doing, that's fine, but just fuck off then. Like, I'm not going to pander to anyone. If I review a mod and I think the mod is absolute dog shit, I will tell you. If I review a mod and I think the mod is the best thing since sliced bread, I will tell you. If I make a video about Starfield and I think Bethesda are shitting the bucket, I will mention it. If I think there's areas where Bethesda have like done amazing things, I will tell you. Like I'm a human being, you know. Sometimes I'll say stuff that probably are, you know, probably wrong, because a lot of it with the mod stuff and like with Starfield, it's ultimately a lot of it's an opinion piece. Some of it will be backed up with some, you know, some knowledge. But yeah, so yeah, I will say regarding the kind of the deleting comments, generally speaking, if you are new to a YouTube channel and you comment and you see that your comments aren't showing up, I have no control over YouTube removing comments. I don't like saying this to people because I don't know the full ins and outs of how it works with YouTube's comment system, and two, I don't want to offend anybody, but generally speaking, if you comment on a channel and your comment is not appearing, YouTube probably or potentially has flagged your account for spam for various reasons. It could be that you're argumentative in comments. It could be to prevent, like, you know, maybe if you're like in a different region, if you're constantly bouncing around, like if you're, you know, on a yacht living in, going from Majorca to Bosnia Herzegovina. I don't know if, could you even get a yacht there? I think that's landlocked, isn't it? But yeah, there's various reasons to why YouTube might pull your comments. 99 times out of 100, it is not me. Right? And realistically, if it is me, you won't see any of your comments engaging, because that's what I mean. Like, I will very rarely, if ever, pull singular comments. If I see somebody and like they're a straight troll, I'll just hide them because you're adding nothing to the conversation. But yeah. Also, that being said, regarding with the paid mod stuff, if you are a mod author and you find that I have maybe given your mod an unfair review or something, that's perfectly fine. You can think that, and if you want to reach out to me, you can. My Discord is in my description. You can either join the Discord and at me, and then we can talk in DMs. I won't always respond because sometimes I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes if I do like a negative review and like if it's a constant, like let's say an example of a mod author, and it's just a constant stream of negative content, like, you know, you're putting out stuff that I just don't agree with, I probably won't engage with you because I feel like you've already kind of done the damage. But there's always opportunity. Like, that being said, there has been instances of mod authors trying to accuse me of being deceptive, of purposely misleading, which is hilarious because I don't do that. Like, there's been times where like I've actively wanted mods to succeed and have like tested multiple times behind the scenes to make sure something is, like, you know, if a bug is happening, I will make sure, because the last thing I want to do is come out and be like, yeah, that's a bug, that's definitely, you know. But yeah, if you want to talk shit, DM me, we can talk shit. But yeah, And at the end of the day, if my negative review of your mod, and I'm not talking about anyone in particular, I'm just kind of throwing shade in a general area. If my negative review of your mod annoys you, maybe just do better. Maybe make a better fucking mod, you know? But yeah, that's pretty much it on that sort of front. Let me check if there's any questions from my last one stream. Let me check content. Oh, my game just crashed. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. I don't know what even happened there. I was literally just like vibing, and the game's like, no, we're not vibing apparently. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will say that this will come out Tuesday. I put up a video yesterday. I will be doing a live stream, 24-hour live stream, a charity live stream in aid of Samaritans, Ireland. They are a charity organization that is basically a support service for people who are lonely or dealing with emotional stress and suicide. They're a very, very worthy cause. And yeah, so I have a video that came out yesterday that you can check out. I'll be doing the live stream on Thursday. In the video description of the other one, not this one, you'll be able to, if you just check it, it'll have come out yesterday. If you can check the links, if you want to read about it or if you want to donate. But because of the live stream and stuff, I will be doing when this goes live, I will be doing my live stream, my ESO live stream of Tuesday, which will be today when this comes out. I will not be live streaming Wednesday because I will have to record Wednesday instead of Thursday. And then the live stream will go from 6 p.m. on Thursday to 6 p.m. on Friday. Because of that, I will not be doing a Friday live stream, but I will be doing the Saturday live stream. So yeah, so there won't be, I mean, there technically will be, there'll be 24 hours of fucking live stream footage for you guys to watch. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I will say, like, hopefully nobody takes offense to anything I say here, like, when it comes to stuff. I know I was kind of firing shots, and because the thing is, like anyone, I'm the sort of person where it's sometimes I jump the gun and I may say things I don't mean. That's why, like, with like mod reviews and stuff, like, generally speaking, when I do like the mod reviews and if things are negative, I will take a step back for a half an hour and come back in just to kind of, because I don't want to let emotion control me. But yeah, like, I wasn't, again, there's I'd say 80% of the mods out there, you know, paid mods, like, they're fine. They're definitely no issue there. There's just a small percentage of people that, like, are kind of questionable shit, you know, very questionable. But that's pretty much it, guys, anyway. If you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, ship hearts, and catch you in the next one. Bye bye.